Hi friends, my name is Colby Sharp. I am a 5th grade teacher in Michigan, and I wanted to share with you the books that my students are currently reading. I do this every month and I love it. It's so much fun to just take a whole look at all of the wonderful books that they're reading and get a real good feel for what's going on in the class. All right, so let's talk about these books. At the end of the video, I will talk about the books that I am reading. Are you ready? Let's go. First up, Darth Paper Strikes Back by Tom Engelberger. Our very first read aloud of the year was The Strange Case of Origami Yoda by Tom Engelberger, and so many of my readers have been devouring this series, and it's exciting to see another student taking on book 2. Next up is Finding Goby, the true story of one little dog's big journey, and this is the young readers edition. The girl who is reading this told me yesterday or today that they were so excited they finally found it. Like they had wanted to read it for a long time, but someone else had it and they found it and they're super stoked to read it. The books that you're seeing here that my students are reading are the books that they will be starting their Thanksgiving break reading, which I'm super excited that they all have all these amazing reading plans to keep them company over Thanksgiving holiday. Next up is Good Enough. This is just an amazing middle grade novel that looks like at a girl who has an eating disorder, and the book is kind of broken into days, and those days are the days that she is spending in a hospital, like trying to get better and in a treatment facility. So I love this book, and I have had so many kids read it. I didn't think that I would have so many read it, but they read it and they think and they talk to me about it, and the world's going to be a better place if our kids think about these things before it's too late, before they start to develop these things. So really happy and thankful that we have this book, Good Enough. Next up, Land of Stories, always a popular series in 5th grade. This is book 1, The Wishing Spell. My friend here is more than halfway done. She's really digging it. She's actually listening on audio. So she's listening to the book audio and following along in the book, and she's just digging it. All right, Pay Attention, Carter Jones by Gary D. Smith. I wasn't sure how popular this book would become in class. I know that cricket is not a sport that many of my students are into, but I read it. I book talked. Actually, no, taking too much credit. One of my students read it, book talked it, crushed it so much that I read it. I book talked it, and now another kid's reading it. So pay attention, Carter Jones. Gary Smith can write. Next up, a little book some of you may have heard of. It's called Wonder. It's by Rj Palacio. It's a book that most kids will read. As much as just about any book, the kids these days will be reading this book and will have read this book. And it's interesting to see what a generation of kids reading books like this, what they end up doing in the world. I don't know, I kind of got the warm and fuzzies thinking about that. Next up, one of my favorite books of 2019, The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise. Dan's latest book is mind-blowing. It's a crazy journey. I would have loved this book as a kid. I love this book as an adult. So many of my students have been devouring this book. If you haven't read this one, you should read this one and then book talk it to kids because it is just mind-blowing. And the cat's name, she gets a cat, and what she names the cat, it's a literary reference. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Meltdown. Wimpy Kid, still going strong all these years. A new one came out. I don't think anyone's currently reading it. We've had a handful read it. Always popular. Next up is Kwame Alexander's The Crossover, and we have another student reading Kwame Alexander's Rebound. Not sure where the dust jacket is there. I'll tell you, Kwame is hopping. Kwame's books are just blowing up in here. And it just starts with one kid reading one and book talking it. And sometimes, sometimes it's not even a kid book talking it. Sometimes it's just a kid reading it and other kids see how much they like it and then they start reading it. I think that sometimes isn't given enough credit. Just the books that other kids see being read. The book talks take things to the next level, but just seeing a book get passed puts that thing in someone's, just like you online, you probably see a book and someone's reading it, you're like, oh, that looks cool. Then you see another person's reading it, and then another person's reading it, and another person's reading it, and all these people are reading it. So then that makes you want to read it, right? So good books. Next up, Katherine Applegate's Brasco Riley. This girl is trying to read the series. She's on book 3. She's crushing it. She's loving it. This one is called Don't Swap Your Sweater for a Dog. If you don't know this Brasco Riley series, it's an amazing chapter book series. I think there's 7 of them. not sure. Next up, My Life as a Book. This is another one of those books, and this one too, roll with it. These are both books that kids have read and book talked and been passed to other kids, and they're just like making their way. This series is really taken off, and this book is getting some love from readers, which makes me happy because it's amazing. All right, I Survived, one of the most popular series in my class right now. It's always popular, but I wasn't like crazy popular at the beginning of the year, but as the year has progressed, kids are just devouring these. A lot of kids rereading the whole series, which is awesome. Snow and Rose, which is a book that I haven't read, but the girl reading this loves it so much. Almost every day she tells me something about it, and she's definitely convinced me to check it out when she's done. Next up, The Next Great Polly Fink. If you haven't read this book by Allie Benjamin, it's another one of my favorite books of the year. I don't know, I just love this school. Like, I want to teach at this school, at least for a minute. Like, I love my school, but I just want to maybe visit. I want to visit this school. I want to talk books. I want to go to this school, and I want to talk books to all the kids. All right, now I'm going to think about that in all the books that I read. 65 Story Treehouse. Love this book. Love this whole series. 13, 26, 39, 52, 65, 78. They keep going up by 13 every book in the series. Kids absolutely just can't get enough. They're goo-goo and gaga over the Treehouse books. Next up, The Losers Club. Andrew Clements. Nobody writes school books like him. Nobody writes school stories quite like this dude. Losers Club is awesome. Kid loves reading so much, gets in trouble for reading all the time, starts a new school year, gets in trouble for reading. Eventually he goes to like this after school program and he has to be in like a club or something. And he starts a Losers Club. It's like a reading club, but he calls it the Losers Club because then he thinks no one will join and he can just sit quietly and read, but other people join. So good. The stack is getting large. Another Coyote Sunrise. Oh, this one's fun. The last first day, it's kind of got like Groundhog's Day feel to it. I teach 2 sections of reading. A kid in my afternoon class read this book and loved it so much that he asked if he could come to my morning class and book talk it. And I said, well, of course I said yes, and he did. The rest is history, making its way around this room as we speak. Another one reading My Life as a Book. Kwame Alexander's The Crossover in graphic novel format. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not, but it's you can see why it's so popular. Awesome book. So good. So good. Another Darth Paper reader. Sweep! Story of Girl and a Monster. Not sure where the dust jacket is here, but this Jonathan Auxier book is dominating. It just recently took off. A couple kids have read it. They've listened to the audio, read along, and they just were blown away. So darn good. If you haven't read this book from 2018, like, you need to like stop everything and go to the library or the bookstore and buy it. Solving for M. I have not read this book. No one has book talked this book. What I love about this reader is he's so independent. He doesn't need me, and he can find books on his own, and he's always trying new things and finding different things and pushing himself. He inspires me because he tries new things a lot more than I do. So excited to hear what he thinks about Solving for M. Wouldn't be surprised if he loves it and then book talks it and then it becomes popular with other readers. American Chillers. This is an author, Northern Michigan author. His name is Jonathan Rand. He started with Michigan Chillers, which were all these kind of like spooky, goosebumpy type stories that take place in Michigan cities. And then from there, he branched off and started writing one book for each state. And this is the Wisconsin American Chillers. If you have Goosebump readers and you don't know the series, easy next read for them. And the last book is The Last Kids on Earth book, which I love this series. I haven't even read it. By loving it, I mean that I love how much my students love it. I was a little worried when the Netflix show comes out because, I don't know, sometimes that worries me when there's a show on books or movie on books, but popular as ever. So those are the books my students are reading. Here are the books that I plan on taking with me on Thanksgiving break. First up is Sarah Pennypacker's Here in the Real World. It's about a 308-page middle grade novel. I'm on page 172. I love this little thing on the back. An ode to introverts, dreamers, and misfits. Where is the main character, and Jolene is the other main character, I guess, and they meet in like an abandoned church lot. I love it. Like, I am just so in love with these characters and what they're doing, and just their curiosity around the world and their independence in like a world where our lives are so structured. It's just an amazing, amazing, amazing book. And I plan on also bringing one teacher book. So Goldie Muhammad's book, Cultivating Genius. I read the introduction yesterday, picked it up at NCTE, the National Council for Teachers of English Annual Conference. And there's a little bit of buzz going on in this book. So excited to check it out. And if you haven't seen it, maybe it's something you're interested in as well. So those are the books that my students are reading. These are the books that I'm reading. I hope you're reading something wonderful. If you made it to the end, thank you. Drop a comment in the comments below. Let me know what your kids are reading or what you're reading. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an awesome-tastic day, and happy reading.